Hey everyone, Xtreme Super 7 here, and I just gotta say that after seeing this around the verse, I just had to make a video about it. This is going to be completely, pretty much unscripted. I just gotta say that this is something that just really blew my mind. There's gonna be parts where I'm talking over people a lot, but most of the time, there's going to be images accompanying them and things like that. Mostly, when there's actually important things that I want you to see by yourself, I will have the actual audio from the original video on it. So the main thing that this video actually covers is a lot of things in regarding level design, as well as many tastes of 3.0, actually. And you're going to be seeing that really quick, actually. So this is basically showing you the updated interaction system that is part of the quote-unquote item port 2.0 system that is going to allow us to be able to more directly than what is originally a use button, contextually navigate things like our cockpit, as well as buttons on doors and things like that. You'll see that right here, actually, with the flight ready, jump, things like that. And then it'll do a little bit of zoom in. This is just a bunch of technical stuff. I'm going to be just not really talking much here. I'm going to actually pause for a second here so I can actually narrate this live. This is actually going live. This is live right now. Wow, I don't know how much they're talking. Okay, I think I remember this. This is actually talking about the flow charts a little bit, but that's not too important. This right here is the expanded solar system designer, basically allowing them to physically place the planet objects into an item container, which is something that will be used for streaming objects into it. This is what actually makes it so that they can have the physical star in the game, as opposed to just being what would traditionally be a light continually pointing at the camera and projecting pre-baked surface lights on things. This is talking about better AI pathfinding, and things like that are going to be extremely necessary for Squadron 42. This talks about the lighting system, as you can see here. I'm not quite sure what the new lighting system actually improves over the other one, but I can basically tell you that it is just, in general, going to be something that actually really makes it so that everything is a little bit more optimized. Optimized is a really interesting buzzword for most things, but in this case, optimization actually means something. Also, that's a really detailed character. And this is more computer work. I have no idea what is going on here because I muted the audio and I'm not listening to it via headphones. Again, this is me doing this literally live. I am live speaking this video right now. And we go back to Aaron. Aaron is basically talking about new weapon animations, things like the reload for the rifle here, as well as for various other weapons. There's new animations and improvements, and you'll even get a little bit of taste for planetary things here as well. Oh, that's also the railgun that just appeared there. That is not something that they talk about a lot. There is a handheld railgun, essentially, and this is also talking about improved facial animations for Squadron 42. This is something that I don't remember either, but at the same time, it is focusing on the updated weapons. There's going to be a lot of weapons, I can tell you that. Pistols, rifles, shotguns. You pretty much, if you can shoot it,
but
you can name
for
it.
Our space environments and space stations, and it is looking really cool. Moving on to the environment team, has lots of ongoing work with Squadron 42, but has also started early work on the truck stop exteriors, including the interior modularity, to show the variety of locations we will be able to place in the PU. The team has been working to keep the art style consistent, while also accommodating all the functionality required by design. The planetary service outposts are just finishing their initial art sprint, and the base building set is complete. The team have all the elements needed to create small outposts in multiple configurations, which are being set up so that they can be distributed across different landscapes. Now we have our building blocks, we can start adding the details which give them flavour and detail. Also, with the surface outpost, the team is developing how our shaders are going to react when we place these architectural elements in various biomes. We are looking into a system which will help give us believable systemic integration without having to invest lots of bespoke art time. Lastly, the environment team has been investing time in creating the visual targets for our space look and feel. Not only do we want to add lots of detail to our locations, moons and planets, but also we want space itself to be exciting and interesting to explore, whether travelling through anything from a nebula or dense asteroid field to a space storm or an anomaly.
Okay, I just wanted to say, these are literally three-dimensional volumetric gas nebula clouds. It's not just a skybox. These things are able to be physically interacted with, meaning that no two people will be able to see the nebula from the exact same angle unless they're literally right on top of each other. And it just creates an environment that is so much more brilliant, I wanted to say. And that's about all the time I have before Aaron starts talking again, actually. This is something that is just really, really impressive to me.
The visual effects team has been focusing on a lot of planning to support our new planetary environments, including atmospheric flight effects and modular procedurally generated surface spaces. Work has been done on thruster and damage effects for the Constellation Aquila, high-tech damage effects library updates, building on last month's explosion template, and also further polish to ballistic SMG weapons. The UI team has been working incredibly hard over the last months putting together what you guys have already seen with the new front-end interfaces from 2.6 and are still strongly ploughing ahead with the needs of both the PU and S42. This month's work has progressed on our new kiosk shopping interface, proven out by our prototype, which allows us to make sure it works in all our locations and shop types. Also, work is continuing on improving all our in-game HUD UI, whether walking around or on a ship. The audio team, as always, are supporting all the sprints and tie into and support most of the work the other teams do. This month, the standout tasks included fixing up performance issues and tool improvements, audio for new ships including the Dragonfly, Connie Aquila, Prospectrum and Buccaneer, work on the music composition for both Squadron 42 and the PU, speech processing, fixes to weapon audio, and finally Foley work so the right noises can be heard from differing material types. Anyway, that's it from the UK office this month. I hope you all enjoyed the update and it gave you some insight into how much is going on, not only in this office, but all throughout CIG, as a lot of these features we talk about are a collaboration between teams spanning sometimes all 5 of our studios. Hopefully you get an interesting glimpse of why the team is working so hard to create a universe and level of immersion never seen in a computer game before. This is truly why Star Citizen will be the best damn space sim ever. Once again, I'd like to thank all our subscribers for helping us put together these updates together, and of course, everyone in the community for your incredible support. You are all powering us on to make this groundbreaking universe and dream come alive. It's really appreciated by everyone here at Cloud Imperium Games. Thank you all, and I'll see you in the verse.
Woo! That was interesting. Now we're actually going to be getting into the level design aspect of Star Citizen and how things are going to be more modular. Basically talking about how the pieces can be put together in interesting ways to make it so that although there might be repetition occasionally, it'll be so rare that we probably won't notice it. And, I mean, to be honest, I would probably be the weird type of person that would specifically point out the repetition because I want them to do better. I honestly want it to be really immersive. That's kind of the whole point of it. So, yeah, there's that. Now, this is Todd Papy, who is the design director of the Persistent Universe, and boy, whenever Todd Papy talks, along with Sean Tracy, if you got Sean Tracy and Todd Papy together, holy crud, that is gonna be an interesting thing there. Again, this is live, so I'm going to basically be just spewing out my thoughts. Like that nebula thing from earlier, that was really incredible. I had to rush it a little bit, but now that I have a little bit more time, I can talk more about the detail of it. So, I really, really appreciate the fact that they're putting so much detail into not just the ground aspects and such, but the space aspects, because, well, I mean, it is a space sim at its very core, minus some aspects, but still, it just makes me feel like they're not just going to half-ass, like, a lot of things. There's some things that they may have to, like, take a little bit of shortcuts on initially, but they're going all out with the detail with the Nebula, I think. I mean, Space Engine, Space Engineers, I don't know if Space Engineers has 3D volumetric nebula. I know Space Engine definitely does for its procedurally generated nebula. But that just so happens to be one of the major things that I was worried about. Because there was a little bit of a concept art issue where CIG sort of basically copied and pasted a random nebula they probably found on Google, and it turned out to be a nebula that was actually from EVE Online. It caused quite a bit of controversy. Anyway, we're coming up on the next part of the video where I actually want you to hear, so I'm going to end my speech right here until I get another opportunity.
Of the modular system, we try to figure out how can we alleviate this in the best way possible. How can we make sure that even if it is the 5th time you go through this very room, it still feels different.
And we have a couple of different ways of doing that. Yeah. Like Andrea said, we have the tile sets, so what we would consider low tech, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, as well as high tech, and then we have super modernism and a few other tile sets that will still need to be built and worked on. Then from there, we have wear and tear associated with that. So there's dirt passes. You know, how pristine is this truck stop? Is it in the middle of Crusader? So therefore, there's a lot of money that's around that one. So that one will be in very pristine condition versus something that is out in the middle of nowhere. And it's super run down, and it feels more like a mom and pop or Route 66.
So there you saw, that was a little bit of a sample of the modular system that they have in place there with the shifting tile sets, as he said. And that's something that actually No Man's Sky does to a little bit of an extent, except in not as detailed a way, and to the point that it's really, really noticeable when they actually are, you know, putting the outposts and things on the planets via procedural generation with their algorithms. But, as you can see here, there's going to be an element where they basically have to double check the things and make it so that there is a combination of handcrafted and procedural. And I personally believe that procedural generation is going to be the future of video game design, but at the same time, it's also going to be paired with handcraftingness. The level of handcraftedness combined with the procedural generation is going to show the skill of the developer at making things really immersive and scalable. This is a bathroom that they're talking about here, showing different layouts for bathrooms and how you could possibly go into a bathroom on like 3 different space stations, and although they'd be a general similar square layout, they'd basically be having different amounts of mirrors, different amounts of toilets in different positions. Just simple things that can be adjusted with a slider or things like that. That's pretty much it. That's not that difficult to do, and at the same time, it also allows for a much greater customization of the just overall aspects of being able to have this apply to many things. Like, for instance, not just bathrooms, but bedrooms, maybe things like that. And this is another angle of the space station that you actually saw a little bit of that rendered out earlier when Aaron Roberts was talking. This is more so the concept art for it, though, and it does look pretty similar to the finished sort of finished product. It looks pretty much similar. Got your places for pads. This is basically a truck stop equivalent. Like, if you have a gigantic world space, you gotta have things sort of in between to break up the monotony of space, even though space isn't exactly monotonous. But this would be the equivalent of, like, let's say, a literal truck stop. Like, that is pretty much what they're calling it, basically. I mean, we have spaceship trucker equivalents with things like the Hull C, the Hull D, the Hull E. Those are all the hauler ships, and these would be areas where you would just stop, hang out, maybe buy some food, play some games, buy some clothing, things like that. Sort of like a more expanded version of what we have with Port Olisar currently.
Flip the switch and really pump these things out.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the processes we're looking into is we won't have a level designer sitting and dragging rooms in and constructing a space station. That's not how we're going to build it, because we have the libraries of all the rooms that we can use in a space station. We have all the procedural generation of the props that exist in the rooms. The way we're going to build it is that we're going to create a basic flow chart of a station, which indicates where rooms are supposed to be. You start with a hub, that you come from an elevator, you go into a hub, you might move into another corridor that has like a locker room or that has a diner attached to it, and we build this flow in a scripting tool. And then from that flow, we can generate a seed, and we generate a location. Basically, the editor will generate a location based on that flow. So taking the seed, we can generate many, many different space stations with the same flow that will look completely different because it gets different types of bathrooms. We specify it needs a bathroom. So in one location, it has a small one, another one has a medium one.
Different stores.
Different stores. It has different props in the rooms when you go into the location. So a space station will always look the same, but you can have another space station based on the same seed that looks completely different. So it might have the same hub, but they actually feel different because they have different props and they have a different layout of doors and connectors. So with that, a level designer could technically throw out 20, 30 space stations in a day.
So there you have it. Basically, they are showing you a bunch of things about how the future of modularity is going to work, and they're talking about how they're going to be using a combination of procedural generation and handcraftedness, which basically goes into something that I said a bit earlier, with the sense of there will be an explosion of content in a relatively short period of time. I can't give you an exact timeline, and they can't give you an exact timeline either. But what they basically are showing off in this episode of ATV essentially shows how much that there is going on behind the scenes that we really didn't get to see, and then I couldn't really show you because I wasn't actually physically at the places to tell you. Anyway, I'm going to cut here, another jump cut to the end of this episode where Aaron Roberts basically reveals a bunch of ships and a whole bunch of other things, and I'm just going to let that play, and that's going to be it. And since that is what we're going to be finishing with, I'll just go ahead and thank my patrons. Thank you, Nameless Hollow. Thank you, KCB. Thank you, Raina. Thank you, Walker Trips, for this wonderful time that we've had together. And for the rest of you, thanks for watching. Please show me some love down below.
Oh wait, didn't I mention the UK makes ships too? Hope you enjoy.